I remember being totally weird when I fancied someone as a kid. You don't say any of the right things. I'm Amy seems like the best thing to say.
Yeah, actually. I'm from Everyman Cinemas.
Hi.
Do you know Everyman
I
Cinemas?
do, yeah.
Perfect,
I love
okay.
Everyman Cinemas.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for making this film. Thank you for portraying Amy so beautifully.
Thank you.
Like, I feel like the film just hugged me.
Oh.
And I've read online and I've sort of seen through Instagram and also other interviews, there was very like a wholesome vibe at the set that Greta referred to, like community theatre.
Because every day seemed to be so loud and in your face, and there was always so much fun happening. Even on the long kind of slog days, everybody had so much energy. But something that was always so sweet was every single time we came to set, someone was talking to Laura Dern almost like she was Marmee and she was the mother hen, and she was giving her advice and was kind of just mothering everyone. And that was always sweet to see, because it's really hard to fake relationships like that on camera, and it's really wonderful when you have such a connection with these people that it's just easy.
Have you got a favourite quote from Little Women?
One of my favorite lines in the entire film is when Eliza is on the beach and Beth says, "It's like the tide going out. It goes slowly, but you can't stop it." I think that's it. I think I've got it wrong also, but that is just one of the most beautiful, and the way that she plays it and acts it is so stunning.
No, I wept.
And when she said it, I was like, what is this poetry? That is beautiful. So I think that's my favorite line of the film.
What from that, March household would you like there to be sort of more in the world that we're now living in?
Oh my goodness, what would I like to be more from that household? I don't know. The general support and love for one another in the March's household is unbelievable, and it's never ending. And I'd feel like my family is the same. We're all in the arts, and the support that we give to one another is always there, and I've always loved that. So one thing that I smile at when I watch the film was just how caring these sisters are, and how much love there is between men and women in the film and in the story, and how important that is.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of family and Christmas coming up, does your family have any traditions that are like specific, that you think are kind of specific to your family?
Yes, on Christmas Eve I make a massive batch of mulled wine, and it's like there's one specific pan, and everyone gets knowingly drunk, and it's a tradition.
Nice. Okay. Is there anything on the Christmas menu that you like particularly looking forward to?
I love a goose. I love it. My granny, that's tradition. No one's allowed to touch the goose but her. Granny Pat is the one that's in charge of the goose, and she cooks it, and my granddad carves it, and that is, you can't touch her goose. She's very protective of it.
That sounds amazing.
I know, she's an amazing chef.
Okay, speaking of food, Everyman's very much about food and stuff and drinks at cinema. Is there anything you just can't have cinema without?
I think obviously popcorn is such an obvious thing when watching a film. But I'd also say when I'm watching a film at home, I love making a big, it's not good actually. I have to have an unhealthy amount of chocolate around, Lindt chocolate. And I sometimes end up having a Bloody Mary when I'm watching a film. And for some reason, that just ticks all the boxes. I don't know why, it's a weird combination, but I do.
It is, I mean...
It's very strange. I know,
yeah,
I'm aware.
But whatever works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have that every time, don't worry. Not like 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, well, it's tradition.
Bloody Mary at 10 a.m. in the morning is, it's made for that.
Maybe not every day.
Maybe. Do you remember the first time you've been to a cinema? What did you see? Do you remember what was it like?
We went to go and watch Strictly Ballroom. I think that's the right name. It's Baz Luhrmann's, one of his earliest films. And we were living in Spain at the time, and we went to go and watch it. And I just remember being so excited by the life and the colour and the dancing and all the frills and the feathers and just how vibrant that film was. And then obviously he became one of my most favourite directors, and I've watched all of his films after that. So it's funny that the one thing that I really appreciated when I was a kid about that film was just how in your face it was. And then, constantly falling in love with his films thereafter that, because of that too.
And as you say, the set was a bit like that as well.
Yeah, totally.
Like some of the stories that I've read, it's so funny. Like with like you guys speaking Australian accent and you hiding food all over the place.
Yeah, all the place I'd hide food. Yeah, well, because there'd be these amazing big tables full of like era food that they would have had at the time, and all these feasts, and sometimes we wouldn't be able to eat it, but most of the time, if you were sly, you could eat it. So I would just take the donut bowls and hide them in the kitchen so they weren't a part of the set anymore.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.